What is going on, everybody? So let's look at this stock, Shopify, okay? S-H-O-P, shop, okay? Let's get right into it. So what is Shopify? Shopify is an e-com platform, okay? An e-commerce platform for mainly small to your medium-sized businesses, also known as your SMBs, okay? So it's a platform that provides merchants the ability to sell their products, okay, through web storefronts, or even physical retail locations, or even social media storefronts. Okay, so there's many different channels that allows merchants to sell on, okay, and connect with their buyers. So it enables basically merchants to manage all their products, their inventory, and their shipping and fulfilling their shipping, and it has these financing options and a lot of different ways to connect with the consumers and your buyers in specific markets. Okay, so basically it's helping smaller merchants, medium-sized merchants, connect and sell with their buyers, okay, and give them like a cohesive experience, okay. So basically what they want is basically simplifying the entire experience, right? So they want to create a very simple interface for the merchants to come on and use and market it towards their specific group of buyers, okay. Not anybody, not just generally people who are interested in buying stuff, but their specific market, okay. So they target it through certain ways, through their buyers' trends and database on their purchases. Okay, so basically Shopify is going to aim to help connect the merchant with the buyers. Okay, so it's a very cohesive experience and very simple experience for both the merchants and the buyers. Okay, so let's take a simple example of this. So example would be drop shipping. So a drop shipper, basically what they do is they're gonna find a product on Alibaba, AliExpress, right? So they get the product for $3. They maybe get it from China, right? And then they have a buyer, maybe somewhere in the U.S., okay, who wants to, and they make a storefront, okay? So they make a storefront. They list it for $15. They don't have any inventory on hand, but when somebody clicks on their store and buys it from their store, they get whatever the price is, right? They put in their credit card, they put in whatever, how they're paying for it. You get your $15, okay? Now you buy it and ship it to their address, okay? So you buy it for $3 and ship it to their address. So at no given time do you have any inventory on hand. So why is dropshipping great? Because you don't need much capital to get into it, okay? So all you need is somehow you need to create some sort of storefront, right? Where you can attract buyers, and you're gonna need some sort of advertising, marketing to attract your buyers onto your storefront, or however you're trying to get attention to your buyers. And Shopify offers a great interface for this, right? Very easy, simplistic interface that offers many different features, okay, to the merchants, like I was saying before, okay. So basically what they'll do is now they have a storefront, somebody clicks on it, somebody buys from them. If they have a good storefront, it's more likely that they'll have more buyers, and they'll attract more attention, and they get more buys, then they have more revenue coming in because they're selling more selling more products, which means they're making more and more money, okay? So that's basically just the fundamentals of drop shipping itself and how they use Shopify to start their e-commerce business. And like I was saying before, it's mainly for small to medium-sized businesses that Shopify will really simplify this process, okay? It's because they don't have as much capital and they don't have as much experience. So to get into the market and to get into the e-commerce market, you would need a lot of capital, right? Because in order to create your own website, it would require a lot of energy, and you would probably not be able to do it by yourself. You would need a tech team. You would need certain web developers, software developers, and you would need a big team to put together. They all cost a lot of money. But when you haven't made any sales, it's hard to get this in the form of loans because banks won't give out loans. So basically, Shopify makes this experience very affordable and helps people, just inexperienced people and people with low capital, to get into the game, okay? So a lot of people who are originally, for example, in person, okay, they had a store, and during this pandemic they need to switch online, okay, these smaller businesses, your local stores just around in your town, they were able to go into Shopify and just start a small storefront, a web storefront, right, where they could advertise through other social media forums, okay, to get more and more buyers, right? So it's a very simple thing for your small to medium-sized businesses to start an interface or a platform, an e-commerce platform, to attract buyers onto their stores, okay? Essentially, Shopify helps small to medium-sized businesses, SMBs, to embrace e-commerce, okay? Because like I was saying before, small businesses and medium-sized businesses, they need a lot of capital coming into this, okay? To go into an e-commerce version of selling, they need a lot of capital and experience. Okay, if they don't have experience, they're gonna have to take more risk. Okay, and with more risk, there comes more loss. Okay, so with more loss, they're gonna lose more and more money, and then they don't have as much money because they're just getting into it, so they don't have much profits yet. So when you're inexperienced and you don't have capitals, you can't grow as fast. Okay, so what Shopify does, it simplifies all of this so that you don't need as much capital on hand and you don't need as much experience. Because what's Shopify doing? Shopify is basically, at the end of the day, leveling the playing field in the e-commerce market. Okay, so it's helping those small to medium-sized businesses, like I was saying, SMBs, to get into the e-commerce game. Okay, so that's basically where Shopify comes in, and it's a huge market. Okay, a lot of your smaller stores are going to be going on to this e-commerce form. Okay, they're transitioning from this in-person big retail store, okay, or not big but just retail store, to this online version because it's more profitable, and the taste and times are changing now. Okay, with the way the internet is, the internet and the current situation have changed the way millions of people view and go about business every day. Okay, so let's just take a look at Shopify itself. So Shopify was trading at $350 back in March. Okay, so like the low 300s at one point in March, and then hit an all-time high in May 22nd of around $850 per share. Okay, and that was in May 22nd. Okay, before then pulling back to the low 700s where it is today. Okay, and now it's at around 725. So Shopify had a really incredible quarter. Okay, just recently. So they had some great numbers there, and that's why their stock surged a lot. Okay, with the changing times and the changing taste of all buyers. Okay, because they're going to this e-commerce side, right? Nobody's going to in-person stores. Nobody's going to big retail stores because it's not safe anymore. A lot of people are just saving the time and energy and just going online shopping. Okay, and that's really where Shopify comes through, because these merchants, small merchants, are shifting to this online e-commerce form of selling their goods and services. So now let's look at the first and most important thing, Shopify's mission. Okay, so Shopify's mission is very simple. It's to create a level playing field for all merchants. Okay, so what they want to do is create this fairness. Like I was saying before, if you go back 15 years in time, it would be very hard to start a business. Why? Because you would need basically all your own funds to be invested into the business. Okay, you're starting a business. Banks aren't really going to loan out money because it's very uncertain. They might lose money. There's more risk, right? So if anything, if you're going to get any loans, it's going to be a very high interest rate, right? And it's going to be hard to pay down that, okay? Because you'll just be paying down the interest and not the principal payment. Okay, so at the end of the day, most people didn't get approved for these loans to start their businesses. So they had to save their money and basically invest it all into the business that they want to create, which would take time and effort and was very risky. So not a lot of people would take the step. So basically, it was not fair previously, right? 10 to 15 years ago, the markets were not fair. What Shopify is trying to do is level the playing field to make it even level so that anybody, especially small to medium-sized businesses, because it's harder for them to compete against larger businesses. For example, your local stores cannot compete against Amazon because of the economies of scale, right? Amazon is doing it at a much larger scale. They're producing at a much larger scale. So whatever they're doing will be much cheaper compared to your smaller local stores, okay, that go online. So, and they have less capital, whereas Amazon can raise a lot of capital through its shares and its stock and all its equity, right, in the company. So basically, it's much easier for them because they have larger economies of scale for them to get capital and invest and continue to grow. Whereas a small business who's just starting off has high risk because he has no experience, right? He has very little funds and he's investing everything he has, right? So it's high risk basically. But what Shopify is able to do is able to make things less capital intensive, okay? Makes it easier for SMBs, small to medium-sized businesses, to get into the e-commerce game. So basically that's the mission of Shopify, to make it a level playing field for all merchants, okay? Now let's get into the second point, merchant solutions. If Shopify were to aggregate or combine all of their stores, okay, they would be the second largest retailer in America, okay? The second largest retailer in America. That is ridiculous, okay? So if you think about it, it's like Amazon. Amazon is one big store, so it's easier to visualize, right? Shopify would be all these fragmented stores. When you take an aggregate combined of all these stores, they would be the second largest retailer. So when you look at Amazon, we know how big they are, okay? They have large economies of scale. Okay, for example, if you look at an Apple product, for example, the iPads, you can go and see on Amazon they'll be cheaper than how Apple sells it on the Apple website. This is because of their economies of scale. The large quantities that Amazon is producing, selling at, right, is buying and selling at, is driving their economies of scale. Okay, so the larger they are, the cheaper everything will become. Okay, so that's essentially what Shopify is. So Shopify can negotiate on behalf of these small to medium-sized businesses, SMBs, for better opportunities and better pricing. Okay, that's because Shopify is so big. Okay, because they're the second largest retailer, they have these large economies of scale that's comparable to something like an Amazon. Okay, because they're so big, they have so many stores. The large economy of scale is ultimately what really drives their force in their negotiation. Okay, and this really can help merchants at the end of the day open up opportunities and better cost and pricing for them to make larger margins. Okay, so that's why Shopify is a huge competitor in the e-commerce market, which allows them for, like I said many times, larger economies of scale, which is super important because it helps the small to medium-sized businesses, SMBs, continue to grow faster and faster. So now let's look at Shopify's payments. Okay, so Shopify payments basically allows merchants to accept credit cards, debit cards at affordable rates. Okay, so basically Shopify will take this for their service that they're providing. Okay, the cohesive experience that they provide these merchants. Okay, it becomes much more simpler and simplistic for these merchants to just use Shopify because they have this online platform and interface that makes it very simple to just go online and to have a transaction occur through Shopify. Okay, they make it super compatible and very cohesive so that it's very simple for both the merchants and the buyers. Okay, so they're able to accept different types of payment transactions at a very low and affordable rate. So now let's look at another part of merchant solutions, and that is Shopify Balance. Okay, so Shopify Balance is something new that is coming out, and basically what it does is it gives merchants access to critical management tools. Okay, so before, when we look back 15 years ago, or even just recently, okay, 5 years ago, when we we're looking at online shift to e-commerce, okay, very few small businesses, small to medium-sized businesses, SMBs, could get involved and become successful because the playing field was very uneven, right? It was very biased. So people, obviously, that had larger economies of scale, larger businesses, okay, had an advantage. Smaller businesses, SMBs, could not get involved because it's too competitive. The market, they need too much capital, okay? And for the most part, most small businesses run under the water and are in great losses and almost declaring bankruptcy because they don't have proper accountants. Okay, they don't know where their debt repayments. Okay, they don't know how much loans they have. They don't know how much income is coming in, how much profit they're making. Right? They don't have all these. They don't have all these measures mapped out. Right? Whereas that's what Shopify is gonna offer to these merchants with Shopify Balance. Okay, basically it's their personal accountant. Okay, that tracks these critical money management tools that they're gonna provide to these set of analytics so that these merchants can go and analyze what's going on with their business and how they can change. So essentially what it is like their own accountant to see how they can improve and continue to grow their business and make educated decisions. Okay, the problem before was that people don't have capital to just go outright and hire an accountant, right, to watch over their business, see how all their money management is going on, because they don't have any capital, right? So let alone they can't even get online, they can't even get an accountant to keep their business running in their day-to-day expenses. So what Shopify is able to do, because they're large scale, they're able to make it very affordable and a very low price, and they're able to offer all these things through Shopify Balance to their merchants. So this again comes back to Shopify's mission. What's their mission? Their mission is basically leveling the playing field, right? So they level the playing field for SMBs, small to medium-sized businesses. So now let's look at Facebook and how it relates to Shopify. Okay, so recently Facebook had a partnership with Shopify. Okay, and what they did here is they basically allowed these free tools that Shopify offers, okay, to be used to make customizable digital storefronts on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so what this allows is to bring in wider audiences. Okay, and especially with Facebook marketing, they have their marketing is very good, and they can target specific people based on what they're buying and what their interests are. So basically you're reaching out as a merchant, you're reaching out to more buyers and connecting with more buyers who are more interested in your product. So there's a higher chance of them buying and purchasing your goods or services. So basically with more channels, yeah, there are more sales, But at the end of the day, with so many different channels, it does become more and more complex because there's different things you have to manage. And SMBs come to Shopify because it's a very simple interface. So this partnership could basically defeat the point of coming to Shopify, but no. Shopify's goal is to simplify all of this. So they want to basically help the merchant to get as much, the largest audience possible, right? They want to help get more and more channels through these different platforms such as Facebook and Instagram, right? Large audiences. They want to use these audiences to bring more sales, but obviously this will become more complex with different channels. But this is where Shopify is going to come in and help simplify the entire process. And this basically comes back to their mission. They are helping and making it more easier for SMBs to get involved and into a level playing field, okay, in the e-commerce game, okay? They want to make it more fair. Otherwise, they would be struggling to even get into the e-commerce market without a large audience, okay? If they don't have many people buying online, right? Because everybody's going to a bigger storefront such as Amazon, okay? Nobody's coming to these smaller stores on Shopify. Well, at the end of the day, these small businesses are gonna fail online too. They're not gonna go anywhere. So basically, through this, they're able to level through Facebook and these different channels that Shopify is partnering with and giving them their free tools and this customizable storefront. They're able to get larger audiences, and through this, they're able to bring more sales. And Shopify is able to make it more cohesive and more simplistic for all the merchants to connect with their buyers. So finally, let's look at Shopify's response to the pandemic, okay? So basically what they did is they gave over $1 billion of cash advances and loans to SMBs, okay? And these were loans and cash advances. These were things that banks wouldn't be outright willing to give to these SMBs, okay? So they're more risky, okay? But Shopify extended their hands and gave out over $1 billion in cash advances and loans to these SMBs, okay? And they're using that for their inventory and to help build their business, okay? So when COVID first hit, they deployed basically $200 million of cash advances, okay? And what this did is that allowed cash advances and loans. This allowed these small businesses to continue their day-to-day operations, okay? So also during this time of this pandemic, basically Shopify knew that these in-person stores are going to need to transfer to e-commerce, right? They're going to need to go online soon. So what they did is they extended their hand and they gave 90-day trials to all these businesses so that they could pivot from their in-person stores to an online e-commerce form, okay? So during the time of pandemic, we can see their response to their pandemic. They do this not only just to gain more customers, but also just to extend a hand and to show good ethical values at the end of the day, right? To help people not to lose out on, because others, their day-to-day operations remain the same. Their fixed costs, or their building costs, and all their operating expenses remain the same, but they're not bringing any profit. So basically, Shopify is going to allow them to extend a hand. Hey, if you want to come online, we can help you guys out for 90 days. You can try us out. If you want to go e-commerce from there on, you can stick with us. Otherwise, it's like up to you how you want to run it. So basically, you can see they had great ethics and morals during this time of this pandemic. So that's a great sign for the company. So at the end of the day, the company is at a very high price. It's trading around 730, low 700s right now. It is expensive, however, with the future and digitization of the economy and how things will continue to proceed, Shopify over the long run has a great future and will continue to rise and go up and up, okay? That's because of the changing taste, okay? After this pandemic, a lot of people have changed their perspectives, okay? Not as many people are going back to the stores. More people are going online, right? So once they've got the taste of it, they're going to continue to do so because it's easier, more efficient, and they save money doing so. So at the end of the day, Shopify does have a very good future in my belief. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys learned something. I'll see you guys in the next video.